I find strength from my faith.
1 year ago, the governor, his family, the people's house, targeted because of their faith. One man tried to kill the governor, but in the wake, many came together.
People who have learned quite a bit from this tragedy, but also have seen from this tragedy the goodness of our fellow Pennsylvanians in a deeper way.
But the flames of political violence continue to burn.
I have never seen the number of threats against the governor that we have seen.
Millions spent upping security. But will it prevent an intruder from climbing the fence, igniting the residents again? And since then, political leaders have been fired up.
And our family is committed to public service, and our family is deeply committed to not letting the bad guys win.
How will this attack continue to impact Pennsylvanians, our politics? How does the Commonwealth move forward?
We will not dwell on the past, but we'll move forward to a brighter sense of what we can be and what we should be.
Tonight, we answer those questions and more. This is a CBS 21 News special, The Governor's Mansion Arson, 1 year later.
And tonight we do mark the somber day in the history of our Commonwealth. 1 year since this mansion, the governor's residence, was set on fire by a Molotov cocktail thrown by a man who also tried to kill Josh Shapiro. In the time since, we've seen a number of changes. You can see some of them from Skyview 21 right now. Thanks for being here for this special. 1 year later, the attack on the governor's residence. I'm Joel D. Smith. I'll be joined by our political insiders very shortly as we get into some of the political fallout from all of this as well. This attack that was, yes, on the mansion, on the governor, but in some ways it was on all of us here in Pennsylvania. A lot of upgrades have happened in the meantime. $40 million in all to restore, to protect. And some of that security has become a stumbling block for some people that say it was just too much. We will go over some of those issues in our next half hour, looking at all of those things here along Front Street in Harrisburg. But when it comes down to it, yes, a lot has changed on the outside, but that is not all. The damage on the inside was extensive. The reception room here is where Governor Shapiro had just wrapped up a Passover Seder. The room blackened by a Molotov cocktail. Pieces of art, placeholders, items all throughout that room melted in the flames. It took months and $7 million to restore just this part of the residence. And we recently got a chance to take our cameras inside this place. It is the same room you just saw before, but 1 year later, what a difference it makes. They did a great job. Contracts obtained by CBS 21 outline all of that extensive work, including the carpentry to replace parts of the walls. Money also spent cleaning, conserving so many Pennsylvania art and historical artifacts as well. But it's more than just the building that has changed over the last year. We've told you about the political atmosphere, what is different there as well. And those are just some of the things that we need to talk about. The governor himself saying how much this has changed him and so many of the people around him. Let's get into that part of the story.
I think it has made me a better public servant. It's made me a better man. It's made me a better Jew, and I hope it's made me a better father and husband as well.
Looking back as more than just a governor, Josh and Lori Shapiro standing side by side 1 year later after they were awoken in the middle of the night. They've had to deal with the political fallout of the attack, but also the emotional one, as parents, as protectors.
I think the hardest thing for me emotionally, and I've spoken about this, has been this conflict between a father's desire to always protect their children and doing a job I love, that because of the rise in political violence in our society has created a tension there.
But the tension eventually forged their resolve and made it stronger.
We are determined to keep doing this work, and we're all in as a family together on that.
All in on getting stuff done.
I'm worried about bringing down the costs for Pennsylvanians, making sure their communities are safer, making sure that their kids' schools are better, and creating more jobs. I think it is important that we have space to have arguments over those issues. What's the best way to create a job, or the best way to fix our schools, or the best ways to keep our communities safe? And we should have differences.
Is there a message to maybe cool things off and not spark it even more when maybe someone's in that mode where they're ready to maybe react to something maybe too much?
I think there's a lot happening in the world right now that sparks passions and excites people. And I want more people to be engaged. We just want them to be engaged in a way that is peaceful.
And he thinks the pathway to change, to being peaceful, starts with taking the first step.
There are example after example after example every day where people show that courage to take a first step that ultimately leads to an extraordinarily positive outcome. But you don't know that when you're taking the first step.
So the impact of that night still being felt by so many here in the Commonwealth. But how it happened in the first place? How did Cody Balmer get inside what could have been prevented, and has enough changed since then? So many questions remain. As for Balmer, he eventually committed to all of this, admitted that he did it, and said why he did it as well, and he's now facing 50 years in prison because of all of that. Once again, Cody Balmer is who we're talking about. He pleaded guilty to more than 24 charges, including attempted murder and terrorism. He told police he would have beaten the governor with a hammer had he gotten the chance, and he went right to the door that would have led to the bedrooms. Everything that night caught on camera.
I don't walk around thinking about him. I don't walk around having emotions about him.
But Cody Balmer thought about Josh Shapiro. His attack started around 2 in the morning, April 13th, 2025. He'd planned the attack before then, knowing where to hide from surveillance cameras until the time was right. Balmer jumped the fence. You can see him walking through the yard up to the window before smashing it with a hammer and throwing the first Molotov cocktail in. 35 seconds later, he smashes a second window, and that's when he enters the mansion in the same place where the family's Passover Seder was held just a few hours earlier. Balmer then moves through the inside of the residence, looking for the governor and his family, and nearly getting to them. Watch as he tries to kick and break down multiple doors. Through there leads to where the governor's family was sleeping. Unable to break through, he lights and throws a second firebomb in the dining room, setting much of the bottom floor ablaze. He runs out of the residence through an exit door as the fire grows. All of this damage done in less than 2 minutes. An hour later, as authorities are searching for whoever did this, Balmer himself calls 911, confessing to everything in a strange and very personal tirade.
Governor Josh Shapiro needs to know that Cody Balmer will not take part in his plans for what he wants to do to the Palestinian people. He needs to leave my family alone.
And eventually, he walked into the state police headquarters and turned himself in.